What is up, YouTube? P-Dons here, and today I will be taking you guys through my Week 5 matchup versus patmac and the Sacramento Sandslash. Now, both of us are 3-1 going into the second half of the season. Both of us are going to be looking to try to grab a win to start the second half of our seasons in good form, and to move closer to a coveted playoff berth at the end of the regular season. Now, my opponent is also a content creator, so there are 4 prior UGA videos on patmac's channel, along with some other draft leagues, both singles and doubles. So once I see my opponent's perspective of this week's match, I will leave that link in the description below, and you can peruse that and the rest of the draft league content over there to your heart's content. It's pretty good, actually. I highly recommend it. Alright, so for this week, I made a few changes during midseason. They were covered on my previous video, but essentially the TLDR is I swapped Torracat for Weavile, I swapped Gaily for Almastar, and I swapped Aggron for Frostmourne. My opponent ended up making no changes, but this team is scary enough as it is, so yeah, it's pretty complete. We've got like Celesteela, big issue. Hatterene could be a big issue. Garchomp, Milotic. There are a lot of heavy hitters on this team. So here are some of the things I'm concerned about. Celesteela is the Alola division's kill leader after 4 weeks, and has the best kill to death ratio in the whole league at midseason. 18 KOs, only 2 deaths. That's a plus 16, and it's at least 2 times better than what second place is. I forget what it is offhand, what second place is, but the point is Celesteela has torn holes through teams for patmac. Garchomp, I feel, presents some similar issues that I had versus ECU's Landorus. The big difference is that I'm also not being threatened with max airstream, and in theory Dragapult could also hit it. My Milotic is pretty versatile. He uses a bulky water, he uses a Life Orb Sweeper, Coil Hypnosis, Salt Vest even. Like, it's bulky, it's annoying, and it's possibly effective even into a team with Tapu Koko and Virizion, so I need to be careful of that. patmac also has very good speed control on this team. I have a fast team, but Crobat can still reasonably get off a Tailwind because it has Inner Focus. I can't fake it out with Weavile. Speed ties Tapu Koko, and I need to get creative to make sure Dragapult plus X can take it out. So it can be a pain. This team can also go slower than me with Wargeist and Hatterene setting up Trick Room. And when I have 4 Mons with 108 speed or higher, that could be a potential big issue. So I need to be careful for that. Pikachu can limit Tapu Koko's effectiveness with Lightning Rod. Like Celesteela, Garchomp, and Milotic, and Crobat. All weak to Tapu Koko in one way or another. 3 of them are weak to Tapu Koko's Electric Stab. That's where Pikachu comes in and is able to absorb the electricity that comes from Tapu Koko. So in order to get around it, I either need to predict appropriately, KO the Pikachu early, or swap in Coughing to disable Lightning Rod. I don't know if Coughing is going to be doing that this week, so I just need to be careful. So Valley is unpredictable, bottom line. That thing can be 18 types. Potentially explode on me, I guess. parting shot stuff, be run supportive with Icy Wind, or can just be a physical threat with the right stab multi-attack. So if I see Savali, I need to figure out what it's doing and what type it is, and possibly set myself up for a game 2 or 3 scenario where I have more information. Lopunny has also been good support for Sacramento Sandslash. It gets the Klutz ability, which basically ignores items effects on Lopunny. So Lopunny can switcheroo stuff like Lagging Tail, Iron Ball, Assault Vest, and yeah, if played right, it can cripple Amon. So I do need to be careful of that. It's already happened to 2 of patmac's opponents, so I don't want to be a third one. I feel like during team building this week, there's a rock, paper, scissors aspect to our 11 versus 11. Okay, so if I go extremely fast, great. What if Crobat is able to Tailwind and all of a sudden my Dragapult is slower? Okay, maybe I want to slow down. Great. What if I'm not dealing with a Max Airstream Celesteela? What if I'm not dealing with a Garchomp? Instead I'm dealing with Max Hatterene and Trick Room. So I have to figure out a way to minimize the rock, paper, scissors-ness of this matchup and try to figure out the best way to get consistency and if I'm able to do that, my odds of winning go up. As far as the 6 mons I'm expecting, I feel like it'll be Celesteela, Milotic, Gourgeist, Pikachu, Garchomp, and Crobat. I'm not totally ruling out the Trick Room stuff with Hatterene, but I feel like I might have enough offensive power to deal with that. And yeah, this is gonna be a tough matchup. So I do want to see the 6 that get brought and see what I can do about it. And these are the 6 that are going to be trying to do something about it. I decided after midseason that I think I'm gonna hold back the EVs a little bit. Yeah, it's not bad to show them, I guess, but there are some things as we go down the stretch that I think I want to keep hidden, especially as my schedule gets that much tougher. But at the same time, you can kind of see what I'm going with here a little bit. And it's Celesteela the Diggersby returning, Greenios the Politoed, Dragapult still has not been nicknamed yet. I might come up with something creative for that. And then it's my Blizzard's co-manager Temple, the Tapu Koko, my Blizzard's co-manager Jean-Marc, the Weavile, and Tamtam the Gothitelle returns. Now, I feel like there are 4 huge offensive threats into me: Celesteela, Garchomp, Milotic, and Hatterene. This team has a way to handle each of them. Though if patmac tries Dynamax and like Gourgeist or Centiskorch, it could get a little dicey. Though I think I have enough to handle it. Now, Celesteela, I can go Max Flare with the Dragapult or Diggersby. My Milotic, I've got Tapu Koko. It's not going to take a Max Strike well, and if I don't think the Max Strike is going to KO, I can still Max Quake and boost my own special defense, so I don't instantly die to the Max Geyser. Garchomp, Dragapult is a mon that can obviously hit Garchomp pretty well. My Weavile can really destroy Garchomp if I get in the right position. I could always Dynamax Tapu Koko and go with a Max Starfall, and the Politoed is even packing Ice Beam. And as for Hatterene, I've got Dragapult and Diggersby to basically power through it. This team is fast enough to not let Crobat have a guaranteed Tailwind. I can speed tie with Tapu Koko if I need to. Dragapult is EV to be faster than Crobat. And I also have the ability to Ice Shard it if I need to. So, Crobat is pretty covered here. Dealing with the opposing Dynamax will be key. Especially if the opposing Dynamax is Celesteela. I mean, 18 kills to only 2 deaths. That thing is a monster. So, I am reaching into my bag of tricks, pun intended, and going with what Sierra Dawn tried against Steph of Anime in XDL. And it only failed because we packed Sticky Hold on Steph's Gastrodon. But essentially, Sierra had Liepard trick an Eject Pack onto the Gastrodon, and then went for a stat lowering move. Which yeah, I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was Landorus doing Max Flutterby. I'm going with a similar principle here, because I'm not expecting Celesteela to be run extremely fast. And if it is run extremely fast, then I have ways to deal with its likely reduced bulk. So, Celesteela leads, Dynamaxes, I trick the Eject Pack onto it, I Giga Impact through a Max Strike the opposing Mon, I probably KO the opposing Mon, and the Celesteela loses its Dynamax. Obviously, Celesteela isn't the only Pokemon that I can do it to, but it was the Pokemon I had in mind when devising that strategy. Diggersby can also get Weakness Policy in 2 ways. If I leave Gothitelle Diggersby, Gothitelle is slightly faster than Diggersby, so I can Energy Ball myself. And Weavile can also Surf, breaking some sashes, and triggering the Weakness Policy as well. Politoed is intentionally Water Absorb this week. I am not really using Water-type attacks this week. The only Mon that would really benefit from the rain is patmac Milotic. And if I get the right Milotic set against me, this Politoed can wall it. Also, because I might be going for a Perish Song endgame, depending on the situation, if I Surf myself, I also get some health back, which is good. Now, overall, Tapu Koko and Dragapult are strong offensive threats versus many of the opposing Pokemon, and I'm running both of them specially this week because I'm expecting Celesteela to bulk up a lot with Max Steel Spikes. So, I don't want to be staring at a plus 2, plus 3 Celesteela and have no real way of hitting it. So, Dragapult, Tapu Koko, Weavile, Diggersby, of course, strong offense that could potentially break through this team, and Gothitelle and Politoed trapping, Perish Songing. Like, I think I have a decent strategy this week, but it does depend on how patmac approaches this matchup. There are some combinations that could put me behind the 8 ball. So this is once again going to be a game of information, and I am going to need to assess what is going on as soon as I can and react appropriately. Now, this set's going to be post-commentated, like every set I do. I will be linking the Twitch stream it'll be linked below in case you want to compare for whatever reason. And yeah, let's try to get that 4th win and start the second half of the season off on the right foot. Now I'll bring you all into the battle. Alright, so we're going to jump into the battle. And when I see the team preview, I realize I probably didn't get all of my prep right. But the plan B that it looks like patmac did bring, that I was considering, I do have some answers to it. I realize, looking at this, it's probably going to be more of a trick-oriented team. Max Hatterene is probably going to be a huge threat that I need to deal with. And Celesteela is always scary in team preview, especially when it's leading the league in kills. Other things I need to worry about, and I'm thinking about this as I'm going through the team preview, is what kind of Celesteela this is, what typing it is, what moveset it's running, and the best way to handle it. Gourgeist I know is good support at times, so I'm a little worried about that. And Pikachu can get annoying as well. So I decided to go Weavile Diggersby to break some sashes and to apply immediate offensive pressure. I go Politoed in the back to help deal with some of the Trick Room stuff, maybe set up a Perish endgame, and Dragapult is a strong hitter that hits a lot of these mons super effectively. Alright, so it is Hatterene and Celesteela. I'm not entirely sure what's coming, to be quite honest. I have to check the Celesteela's type first, which I do, and I confirm it's a normal type. So it could be holding anything. For all I know, it could even be like Choice Band Explosion, which would be terrifying. Now, I want to take any chances. I go straight for the offensive pressure, and I go for Surf to proc the weakness policy, maybe break a Hatterene Sash if it's running it. Because remember, I do have Dragapult, and I go for the Max Strike to stop any sort of Trick Room shenanigans going off this turn. I am actually a little surprised to see the Max here, but because I'm just running mental calcs in my head, and I feel like I could probably one-shot either Max. So maybe there's a trick up patmac's sleeve here, like. And then I see the Icy Wind, and I actually think this might be like a max speed Hatterene designed to get the jump on some of my mons. But fortunately, it's not. I get the Max Strike off, and I take out the Hatterene in basically one shot. Tiny bit of Surf Chip means I don't discover if the Hatterene is sashed or not. But I'm not really complaining. I just knocked out a massive Dynamax threat turn 1. Alright, so Celesteela comes in. It's always dangerous, but now that it can't max, it's a little more manageable. And I have a ton of offensive pressure. So at this point, Weavile has done its job. And the only defensive switch-in I really have is Politoed, so I want to bring it out now. I also want to try to take a second knockout on this turn. So when the Politoed comes in, I could set up for Perish Song endgame next turn. Celesteela does protect. We do see that the Savali is flash cannon, so that's kind of interesting, but I guess it makes sense. And fortunately, I did attack into the Savali, so I'm able to get a second knockout, and I'm setting myself up very well to perish this endgame. And the last mon's Garchomp. Now, Garchomp can be a bit of a problem if it gets going. So, I want to make sure it doesn't get a free Swords Dance off and start Earthquaking all my Mons. Not every one of my Mons has Protect, so I do target into it instead of going after the Celesteela that burned its Protect. I also do that because there are some scenarios where Celesteela and Garchomp could potentially knock out Politoed with their combined attacks. So I don't want to take any chances. So attacking the Garchomp helps me to cover that possibility. And I'm able to get the Perish Song off. We also see that the Celesteela is Leech Seeding, which means this is probably a more defensive Steela that is less likely to increase its kill count this week the way it has in prior weeks. At this point, Perish Song has gone off, and it's basically an endgame to where I just want to preserve my Mons best I can, and let the Perish Song do its work. Of course, if I can take a KO to stop offensive pressure and to stop anything from going wrong, I will. And we do see the Garchomp with Dragon Claw. Heavy Slam from Steela. So, yeah, it's probably a traditional, like, Gen 7 Steela, where it's going to be stalling a lot of things and leech seeding things. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be able to keep both of my Mons alive, so I do decide to swap out the Politoed for Weavile. It's very dangerous to bring Weavile in, but I want to preserve the information of my fourth Pokemon. And the Garchomp does go for Stomp and Tantrum, which does a lot of damage to Diggersby. So at this point, I'm definitely losing a Mon. And I do confirm it's Rough Skin instead of something like Sand Veil, which could get a little dicey if the sand ever went up for some reason. Alright, so Steela does get the KO on the Diggersby, so I'm not going to be able to take the 4-0 here. But I do get the information that this Beast Boost is special defense, which means this is definitely a bulky Steela, and it's one that's designed to stall. Bring out the Politoed just to finish the game. I go for Fake Out to stop Celesteela from getting the KO, and I just go for Protect so I don't show any more information to my opponent. Obviously, going for Fake Out does show another of Weavile's moves, but I think it's reasonable to assume that Fake Out would be on Weavile. And plus, I also get some information that Celesteela is left to lose. Perish Song does its work, and I win game 1 3-0. Alright, so this was a pretty good game. It's it's obvious that what I brought worked very well into my opponent's Game 1 lead. So I am assuming that there is going to be a switch up. The thing is, I don't know what the switch up is going to be. From what I know, it appears my opponent is choosing to play me in a more defensive manner and has more of a focus on Trick Room and slowing me down. So with that in mind, I need to either control Trick Room and my opponent's speed control options by either applying a lot of offensive pressure immediately or getting the leads right. So we go back into team preview, and I doubt Garchomp is coming to this set. I'm not sure if Celesteela is coming to the set. I didn't really get its full move set, but I was able to handle it well, so it's a possibility it's not going to come. I realized that Gourgeist is pretty good. It's a bulky mon. It can definitely get Trick Room up. And Max Hatterene does a lot to me. So I'm thinking there might be some sort of game plan where a potential Sash Gourgeist comes in, tries to set up Trick Room, and then the Hatterene comes in later after I KO another mon and then tries to go to town on me. So with that, I suspect it's going to be a lead of either Gourgeist and Celesteela or Gourgeist and Pikachu. And Gourgeist and Pikachu is particularly dangerous because if the Gourgeist is sashed, Fake Out means I can only hit it once, Sash could activate, and the Trick Room goes up. So to counter this as best I can, I lead Dragapult and Tapu Koko, and I keep up the offensive pressure with Weavile and the Perish Song potential of Politoed in the back. And as it turns out, it is Pikachu Gourgeist. So, even though I got the lead right, this isn't optimal for me. I don't know what the Gourgeist has. And if it can set up Trick Room, this becomes very dangerous for me very quickly. So, I bite the bullet and try to get rid of the Gourgeist immediately. I go for the turn 1 max on Tapu Koko and the max Starfall to break a potential Sash and deal a lot of damage to the Gourgeist. And as it turns out, the Gourgeist does protect, so that was a good play from my opponent. Max Starfall, however, does change the terrain from Electric to Misty. And that ends up being very nice for me because this Pikachu goes for Nuzzle. So, Dragapult does keep its speed advantage, which is nice. Also, Focus Sash has been broken. But what I'm looking at my opponent's team right now because I realize that if my opponent was protecting on that turn, he may not be sashed, maybe a bulkier version. And I'm predicting a switch. I don't know to what though. So I do go for the flamethrower in hopes of getting the Celesteela. And if it's not the Celesteela, I could do some decent damage to anything else. But it is the Celesteela. So this Celesteela is taking a Life Orb flamethrower and the Max Starfall. And then as it turns out, that Life Orb flamethrower does less than half. Shows how bulky that steel is, especially. The good news is Dragapult can take it out with another flamethrower if I'm so inclined. And this turn I think I just decide to risk it. I'm not sure where the Sash is, if at all. And I have one turn of Max left. I just want to get damage on this Pikachu, try to get rid of it, maybe. And if the Celesteela doesn't protect, it will faint to this flamethrower. So, yeah, this is just me applying as much offensive pressure as possible. The Pikachu does leave for the Gourgeist, which is a very good switch on my opponent's end. Basically able to absorb the Max Starfall. I mean, it's still going to do a decent amount, but it's not going to destroy the Gourgeist. The Protect was a little obvious, I guess, but I did need to cover that. So, yeah. And we do see the Gourgeist Citrus Berry. Meaning the Sash, if there is one, it might be on Hatterene, it might be on Pikachu. I'm actually contemplating if the Celesteela Dynamaxes here. If it does Dynamax, then it will live the flamethrower. But Tapu Koko cannot KO Gourgeist. Only Dragapult can do that. So this is a very tough decision for me. Is Pikachu coming in? Is Celesteela Dynamaxing? What do I do here? I basically decide I have to go for the win here. And I target the Gourgeist with Shadow Ball. But I do get a little cheeky and just decide, you know what? I'm not sure what's going to happen here, so I'm just going to go for an Electro Web. Maybe I'll get some damage on Celesteela, even if Pikachu comes in. So, in retrospect, going for Dazzling Gleam probably would have been better. But yeah, the Pikachu eats the Electro Web. Alright, so the Hatterene comes in, and I know I'm in a lot of trouble. And the reason for that is my opponent has stalled out my Dynamax entirely. And I have to sit through 3 turns of G-Max Strike. Not to mention, Hatterene's offensive potential is through the roof. Also, Pikachu came in again and now is Fake Out Pressure. So, this is a tough spot for me. The best way out of this, though, I feel is a good offense. So, that's what I'm going for. As the Hatterene G-Max once again. It is ready to unleash hell on me. Fortunately, I am able to get the Shadow Ball off Pikachu probably has some HP investment if that didn't drop at the Sash or Death. The Gleam picks it up. I do a little bit of damage with onto the Hatterene. But fortunately, Coco is targeted here. So thanks to Sash, I have one more turn with it. And the last turn of Misty Terrain stopped me from getting confused this turn. And now it's down to a 4-on-2 in my favor. But my opponent's position is drastically superior to mine. I basically have to play these next turns perfectly in order to win this game. And I'm taking a bit to decide on what to do. Because, as I said, I have to get this right. And yeah, I know Tapu Koko is gone this turn, so I want to do what I can to get some damage off before it goes down. Steel does protect, so I do get that right. I get some additional damage onto Hatterene, and Politoed eats the G-Max Smite. So it's gonna stick around a little longer. I'm gonna get the Citrus Berry, and you know what? I'm not doing that badly stalling out this Dynamax. However, G-Max Smite is one of the most annoying moves in the game, and it's definitely a reason why I would probably want to draft a Tapu Fini or Galarian Weezing or throw up a Safeguard when fighting this thing. It can turn games basically just because the game said it's going to turn the game. I go for the Thunderbolt into the Celesteela and kill myself in the process. Meaning this Weavile is also a sitting duck to the G-Max Hatterene. It does show max overgrowth, so that means it's prepared for Politoed as well. And I am in trouble. Okay, so at this point, the Sash is not on Gourgeist. I suspect the Sash might be on Pikachu. And I have not seen an item from this Hatterene yet. So, at this point, I realize it's probably like a 70% chance that the Hatterene is holding a Cassette Berry. But my win con is for it to not be holding one. So that's what I play to here. I also go for the Blind Hypnosis and the Celesteela to slow it down. Because if Dragapult is taking out Hatterene, I can win the game with that. And my suspicions are confirmed. It is Cassette Berry. And I don't have enough to KO the Hatterene. I do get a special defense drop, which means had I followed up with Ice Beam into the Hatterene, I might have actually KO'd it. But I don't think that's something you can plan for. So I'm okay with how I play that turn. Unfortunately, the Blind Hypnosis missed. And even worse, my Politoed is min speed. Celesteela attacked after Politoed. Meaning, this Celesteela is probably min speed as well. and it is now immune to my my ability to perish to win the game. So this is basically going to game 3, and I am trying to figure out the best way to approach the next game. I still have a very small win con that I am playing to, which is Ice Beam the Hatterene, have Leech Seed miss, and then freeze the Celesteela. So I'm not giving up on this game just yet, but I am thinking about game 3 at this point. Fortunately, with the special defense drop, I am able to get the KO on the Hatterene. But Leech Seed does hit, so this game is over. Had this Celesteela even been neutral nature speed, I'd probably still have a win con. But patmac is a great draft league player, and was definitely well aware of Politoed potentially having Perish Song. So training the Celesteela with the speed it's at was a great call. I just fired the Ice Beam to see what kind of damage it does. Obviously not a lot. I'm going to get a bit of healing here, but it's all going to go back into Celesteela. I want to point out that earlier in this game, it got hit with a Life Orb Flamethrower from Dragapult, followed by a Max Starfall, and was at about 35%. It is almost entirely healed now. And at this point, the game is over. I am taking all 45 seconds of this turn, looking at the team that my opponent brought, and trying to figure out the best strategy that I can use to bring myself victory in game 3. This is this also happens at on the IRL circuit. Like if the game is lost, there are a lot of players who will just take all the time and just let it run out, trying to get that extra minute or so to game plan for the next game where they can actually win it. So I was pretty much just doing that there. And Politoed drops the Leech Seed, and that's game 2, and it's back to the drawing board for me. Alright, so it's a tough one. Like, Trick Room is not great for me this week, and my opponent is clearly focusing in on the Trick Room aspect to try to deal with me. I was able to stop it from going up in game 2, and I got beat anyway. So whatever I do for game 3 has to account for either stopping Trick Room or mitigating it immediately. And I realize, obviously Diggersby is a monster once again, but I have not brought Gothitelle yet. Gothitelle being able to trap things is always amazing. Gothitelle being paired with Diggersby so things can't run from it is also great. And I'm still holding this trick eject pack strategy that I haven't used yet. So that's coming to this game. I definitely want Politoed to finish things off with Perish Song if need be. And I think I spend the next 25 seconds or so trying to decide between Dragapult and Tapu Koko. Both Mons offer a lot, but with what my opponent is bringing, and in particular how Hatterene is able to activate a berry to reduce Dragapult's effectiveness, I decided to go with the Tapu Koko to be able to take a hit with the Sash, and if I have a Perish endgame, I can protect with it. And we do get the same lead of 4 guys to Pikachu. And my eject pack gets revealed. I have to wonder what was going through patmac's head when that popped up. I am looking forward to seeing the other perspective for this one. But Pikachu is going to fake out. It's probably Gothitelle. And I am actually conserving my Dynamax here because I don't think Diggersby is going to get faked out this turn. I want to hit the Gourgeist, but also I want to be able to have a Dynamax Mon when Max Hatterene inevitably hits the field. So go for the Helping Hand. Pikachu does fake out the Gothitelle, which is great for me. And all that damage, but with how much it actually took, that Gourgeist is probably physically bulky. And after 3 games, patmac finally gets Trick Room up. Alright, so I've been able to trap Pikachu in, so it's kind of useless at the moment. But that Gourgeist is potentially a huge problem. I don't know what it's going to do. I know it has Protect. I know it just Trick Roomed. How offensive is it? Can it burn my Diggersby? Does it have something else that is completely off the wall? I don't know. So I'm just going for the Protect here and getting Trick Room reversed. We do see the Phantom Force. So instantly I know that's into Gothitelle. And I have to decide if Gothitelle is going to be able to take the Phantom Force or not. Ultimately, with how bulky Gothitelle can be, I decide that it will. So I go for the Energy Ball to break a potential Sash on the Pikachu. And I intentionally attack the Gourgeist slot, even though it's not going to do anything, because I want to keep Pikachu trapped on the field. I don't want to give my opponent a free switch. Nuzzle is a little annoying, not gonna lie. You do get the Energy Ball off. And Gothitelle does survive the Phantom Force, which is great. I have another decision to make here. I am not sure if Fire Punch is going to be able to KO Gourgeist. And I want to KO it before it gets Trick Room up again. I can max Gourgeist, I can max the Diggersby right now, and Max Flare will guarantee it. Helping Hand Fire Punch will guarantee it as well. But if I'm fully paralyzed, Fire Punch doesn't KO, and Trick Room goes up, I am in a rough spot. But I realize I need to save the Dynamax, so I go for the Helping Hand Fire Punch, and I get fully paralyzed. Fortunately, though, the Gourgeist just protects, and I'm able to get another chance at it. Also, this is where I basically stop messing around, and I'm Dynamaxing this Diggersby right now. I have to get rid of this Gourgeist. It's Burn this Protect. If it switches out, something's going to hit a Max Flare from Diggersby, and it's not going to enjoy it. And if I'm not fully paralyzed, I will also be able to Energy Ball my own Diggersby to get the +2 in attack. So essentially, if I'm able to get the Energy Ball into my own Diggersby here, it's probably a game-winning play. Pikachu does go for the Protect. I get the Max Flare off, and the Gourgeist goes down, which is fantastic. I do get the Energy Ball off, do a little bit of damage to myself, and get the Policy off. At this point, I've got 2 more turns to start cleaning house, and I'm going to take advantage of it. Alright, so we do see the Celesteela come in. At this point, I suspect the back is Hatterene, and if that's the case, I probably win if I take out the Pikachu, because then I can set up for a Perish Song endgame. So, as tempting as it is to go for the Max Flare into Celesteela and potentially finish it off, being able to take out Pikachu, I think, is a safer play here, especially if the Steel maxes and max guards. So, by taking out the Pikachu, I'm probably able to guarantee this win. And the Steel is going to max here, actually. With how the Celesteela is trained for this week, I prefer Celesteela maxing over Hatterene, so I'm happy to see this. Pikachu does reveal its 4th move, Helping Hand. But because Celesteela is so specially defensively invested, I do not think the Steel Spike is going to KO me. And I'm correct with that. So at this point, I realize the game is probably over. There are still outs for my opponent, but I need to play in a way to snuff them out and not let my opponent back in this game. And once again, as tempting as it is to just Max Flare to Celesteela, things could get messy if Hatterene gets Trick Room up. And now, because I know it's not Focus Sashed, that is a license for me to go Max Strike into the Hatterene to stop Trick Room from going up, and then for Politoed to Perish Song and put this game on a 3-turn timer. While the Hatterene did protect and it did get to stick around, I was able to deny it Trick Room anyway, and that was the main point of attacking into the Hatterene slot. So in that regard, Diggersby did its job. One last way that this still could have been a game where I don't know if I win or not is if Diggersby went down there. But because Diggersby did hold on, I'm able to start swapping things in and out. I go for the Protect on Politoed to start stalling out the Perish count. Gothitelle came in and got sacrificed because it doesn't have Protect, while Diggersby does have Protect. So that slot was getting KO'd either way, but now I get to buy another turn of the Perish count when I switch Diggersby back in. And also I want to point out how Gothitelle was played this game. Gothitelle basically trapped my opponent in, assisted my offensive threat, and although it wasn't putting on offensive pressure, it was applying so much pressure through positioning and assisting my Diggersby that this game is an example of why I drafted it in the second round, and it's also an example of why when I was considering swapping it for Gothita to get Registeel, Gothita could not have handled the work that Gothitelle put in this game. Gothitelle did a really good job in Game 3. So I do swap out the Politoed because it protected for Tapu Koko. Diggersby protects. The double up into Koko is not enough to KO it. So at this point, Perish counts go to 1. I just protect the Tapu Koko. I swap the Politoed in to preserve the 3-0, which could help with tiebreakers down the line. I figure Giga Drain and Air Slash probably won't KO the Politoed. And it's a heavy slam into the Politoed, plus Giga Drain into Tapu Koko. So Perish is going to drop it to 0. Celesteela goes down. Hatterene goes down. And I'm able to take Game 3 and the series against the very tough opponent with a lot of draft league experience. This was an enjoyable set to play. I'm glad I was able to get everything worked out and everything went right for me, even though I didn't get the 6 right, so I had to adapt on the fly. And now we're 4-1 and we move on. And we are back. Well, that was quite a game, wasn't it? We were able to get the 2-1 victory against the Sacramento Sandslash. Now, I did not get everything right in my prep or in my play, but I did have enough to finish the job and clutch out this 2-1 win. I was more prepared for the tailwind option that patmac could have thrown at me with the Crobat. And I was also worried about Celesteela racking up its kill count lead once again. Combination max airstreams, max steel spikes, and I don't know, since I have some special Pokemon, even a little bit of max quake. But it ended up being the plan B option that I had considered from my opponent. And I wasn't as prepped for Hatterene in the Trick Room mode, and it almost cost me dearly. And I did not even get out of this unscathed, as Hatterene basically swept my team in Game 2 once my Dynamax was stalled out. So I definitely could have prepped a little bit better, but I was able to get out of it. Plus two, my Dynamax use Game 2 was kind of forced, but had I led better into what I thought the adjustment might have been, I might have been able to stop that from going off a lot earlier. But at the same time, I didn't have the information of all the items that patmac Mons had, and I did need those to have a better game plan for going into Game 3. So with the information I had, I feel like I probably played okay, but hindsight is 20/20, I guess. Perish Song on Politoed was huge. This team had a game plan where once I got out of Trick Room, if the offense wasn't able to get me with Hatterene, there was enough there for Celesteela to completely stall me out. Now, because of Perish Song, I was able to play to some end games where I did not have to worry about Celesteela boosting itself up. Just focus on its partners, and then come in and Perish Song at the end. Now, patmac prepped very well for that as well, by focusing on the Trick Room mode and going minimum speed Celesteela, which is, I think, about 6 or 7 points slower than min speed Politoed. So by doing that, it took away my ability to Perish Song in a 2v2 endgame, and it was very much on display in Game 2, because most of the times Politoed probably underspeed Celesteela there. I'm able to eventually knock out the Hatterene, most likely, and then I have a Perish Song to try to win the game. The Celesteela's speed investment stopped me from doing that, and I was basically just playing to either freeze the Celesteela or keep my differential as good as it can get. But Politoed and Perish Song alone wasn't what won this week. Diggersby went nuts again. Obviously you got the Surf Game 1, which broke any potential sash, plus the +2 max strike, which just annihilated Hatterene. I ended up going away from it Game 2 because I predicted an adjustment, but I did get the information I needed to where Game 3 I needed to bring back the bunny, and I did so. And Gothitelle was huge in that regard to set up my win cons. Diggersby is so incredibly strong versus the right teams, and I was not entirely sure if it was going to be good this week. There were some scenarios where it was, and fortunately for me, my opponent had a team composition where if I got the proper information, Diggersby could do a lot of work. I did get the proper information, and I was able to get the 2-1 in part because of it. Now, this was a good win against a very good draft league opponent. My opponent has won, I think, 2 draft leagues since UGA has started up, and has a YouTube channel that is dedicated to it. So obviously, my opponent's perspective will be in the description below. But I encourage you to check out all the other videos on the channel. There are many leagues, singles, VGC, I think Uber doubles. Yeah, it's really good content. And I know I'm jumping to the last point, but seriously, check out patmac's perspective and patmac's channel. It's really good draft league content. But after beating a very good draft league opponent in playoff position, my schedule still does not let up. Because next week I've got the person in 7th place. Then I have the top of the league, and then I have the person currently in 6th place. So all of my opponents going forward are looking to make playoff runs of their own, and I'm going to have to be at the top of my game in order to defeat them. But I was able to run the numbers though, and as it turns out, I have an outside chance to clinch a playoff berth next week. I do need a lot of help, so I'm going to go through it on this slide. Okay, so these team records are at the end of week 5. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. I am simply saying that if these 5 specific results happen, I will clinch a playoff berth week 6, mathematically. That requires me to beat my next week opponent, the Lake Erie Wishy-Washies, San Diego Palkia to defeat the Fanal Frosties, Los Angeles Loons to beat the Maryland Magnemites, Heartland Homesteaders to beat the Manitoba Machampions, and the East Coast Umbreon to beat the California Bassadons. Now, if all of this happened, 9th place would have a record of 2-4. I would max out at 3 losses because I would be 5-1 with 2 weeks left. Since top 8 makes playoffs this season, and 9th place has 4 losses, and I would max out at 3, I would clinch a playoff berth next week if I got all 5 of these results. Now, am I expecting it to happen? Probably not. But the fact that we're at a point where we can start talking about potential playoff scenarios and clinch scenarios is very nice, and hopefully I have enough over the next 3 weeks to finish this off and clinch a playoff spot. And speaking of my next week opponent, we have the Lake Erie Wishy-Washies. This, I'm not going to spoil it, obviously, but this is an interesting matchup. Like, Dragapult does not want to see Tapu Fini, for example. Dragapult does not want to see Mamoswine. Rizian doesn't want to see Mamoswine, though I guess the grass-type attacks do help a little bit. There might be some terrain wars with Coco and Fini. And, yeah, this is a very solid team with a lot of Mons that have had success in VGC and some newer tricks that are pretty good, like Galarian Zapdos. So this is going to be an interesting one, and I'm going to do my best to prep for it, and hopefully we can get a win next week as well. But as I said, my opponent is also making a playoff push, so this isn't going to be easy. Having said that, thank you all for watching. My matches, I'm going to continue to stream them on Twitch, and I'm going to continue to post commentary afterwards. And yeah, we're getting close to the playoffs, but I don't have anything yet. I have 4 wins. I probably need 1 more to be safe, and I've got 3 tough opponents, so I'm not taking anything for granted. So yeah, I'll see you all next week when we play the Lake Erie Wishy-Washies, and hopefully we can get a win and get that much closer to a playoff spot.